It started with a smell, foul, lingering, and out of place in the quiet countryside of Yorkshire. A neighbor, walking her dog past the old Holbrook farmhouse, finally called the authorities. She hadn't seen the women who lived there for weeks, and the air around the house had turned thick and sour. When police arrived, the front door was unlocked. Inside, the silence was eerie. Nothing was overturned. No signs of a struggle. But something was wrong. The living room was dusty, as if untouched for months. Mail stacked by the door bore 3 names: Karen Holbrook, Nicola Blanchard, and Rachael Ellison. A kettle sat on the stove, half full. Plates were still on the table. Upstairs, the bedrooms were strangely neat. Down in the basement, the horror was finally uncovered. 2 bodies, wrapped in heavy plastic sheets, lay side by side beneath the concrete floor. Forensics later confirmed they were Karen and Nicola. Time of death: approximately 4 weeks prior. Yet what puzzled investigators most was the attic. Hidden behind a narrow crawlspace, the small loft wasn't empty. A mattress on the floor, water bottles, empty cans of beans, and a half-filled journal painted a chilling picture. Someone had been living up there. Recently. Very recently. Taped beneath one wooden floorboard, they found a cheap mobile phone with no SIM card and no battery. When powered through external means, it held only one piece of data: a single, silent video. In it, a gaunt woman with sunken eyes stared into the camera. She held up a piece of paper that read, "He can't know I'm alive." The face matched Rachael Ellison. But she was missing. And from the way things looked, she had been hiding in the house even after her friends were killed. The search for Rachael Ellison intensified overnight. Her name dominated headlines, and her blurry image from the attic video played on every news channel. She was officially labeled a missing person, but behind closed doors, investigators feared something much darker. The fact that she had been alive, hidden in the same house where 2 murders had occurred, raised haunting questions. Why hadn't she come forward? Why had she stayed silent while her friends lay dead below her feet? Detectives interviewed everyone connected to the women. There were no signs of forced entry, no robbery, no clear motive. Surveillance from nearby roads showed nothing unusual. The farmhouse was isolated, far from any neighbors, and backed by dense woodland. Forensics revealed that someone had been entering and exiting the attic through the rear window, using a rope made from knotted bed sheets. Dirt on the sill and boot marks on the ground below confirmed it. Rachael had not only been hiding, she had been sneaking in and out. A chilling theory emerged. Rachael wasn't just a survivor. She might be running from someone who knew she was alive and was hunting her. The video, with its cryptic message, seemed more like a warning than a plea for help. Authorities combed the surrounding woods with dogs and drones but found nothing. No fresh footprints. No discarded items. Just a path of broken branches leading toward the riverbank, then vanishing. Her online life was a dead end. No recent messages. Her bank accounts untouched. Yet a single fingerprint on the attic phone matched a print from an old assault case, pointing to a man who had used a false identity. The discovery connected the case to a buried past the women shared, one that would force investigators to re-examine everything they thought they knew about Rachael, Karen, and Nicola. Digging into the past of the 3 women revealed a bond forged not by friendship, but by survival. Karen, Nicola, and Rachael had all attended St. Winifred School for Girls in the early 2000s. At the time, they weren't known to be close. But school records and interviews with former staff painted a darker picture of their teenage years. In 2007, a scandal had briefly surfaced and quickly disappeared, one involving a popular teacher named Philip Dawes. He had been arrested for allegations of abuse involving several students. Rachael was among those named in the sealed documents. Philip Dawes served 6 years before vanishing entirely. After his release, he changed his name, dropped off every database, and became a ghost. No social media. No employment history. No address. It was as though he had erased himself from the world. No one thought to look for him again, until now. The 3 women reconnected in 2020 during a school reunion. Months later, they collectively withdrew from their city lives and moved into the isolated farmhouse. They told friends they were trying the off-grid lifestyle. They quit their jobs, deactivated their online accounts, and even got rid of their personal phones. But behind the scenes, they were digging. Old case files, missing persons, court records. They believed Philip Dawes was still out there, and that he had started stalking them again. Karen's laptop, recovered from a locked trunk under her bed, held encrypted files, photos of unidentified men, scanned documents, and even a list of alias names used by Dawes after his release. It was clear now that the farmhouse hadn't been a retreat. It was a safe house, a place to prepare for something, or someone, they feared would return. And tragically, it seemed their fear had become reality. The discovery of the fingerprint on the attic phone shifted the entire investigation. The match belonged to a man arrested under the name Andrew Farrow in Scotland back in 2016 for an assault in a train station. The charges were dropped due to lack of evidence, and he disappeared again. Using biometric data, authorities confirmed that Andrew Farrow was actually Philip Dawes. It was the first verified sighting of him in nearly a decade. But now he wasn't just a missing ex-convict. He was the prime suspect in a double homicide and possibly the disappearance of a third woman. Investigators widened the search radius, focusing on the woods behind the farmhouse. Wildlife cameras placed by conservationists had unknowingly captured a vital clue. In grainy infrared footage from just days before the farmhouse was entered by police, a man wearing dark clothing and carrying a long object, possibly a shovel, was seen walking toward the house. He wasn't seen returning. Forensics re-examined the property with this new information. A shallow, disturbed patch of ground was found near the tree line. It contained food wrappers, a burnt-out fire pit, and a worn piece of fabric believed to be part of a coat matching the one seen in the video. Still, no sign of Rachael. No trace of Philip Dawes since. Experts now believed Rachael had been hiding, not just from fear, but because she knew Dawes was watching. He may have been inside the house while she was still in the attic. Her silence, her isolation, it was all part of a strategy to stay alive. But with Karen and Nicola gone, and Philip nowhere to be found, questions piled up. Had Rachael escaped? Was she still running? Or had Philip caught up with her after all? The forest held its secrets. And so did the attic. Nearly 6 weeks after the farmhouse discovery, the investigation took a strange and unexpected turn. A plain brown envelope arrived at a police station in Manchester, addressed only to Missing Persons Unit. Inside was a single USB drive and an old newspaper clipping from 2007, the front page covering Philip Dawes' arrest. No return address. No fingerprints. No DNA. Just 2 items, carefully placed, like a message waiting to be understood. On the USB was one audio file, time-stamped 3 days before the farmhouse was entered by police. It was Rachael's voice. Her tone was steady but low, as if she were speaking from hiding. She detailed the events in chilling clarity. She confirmed that she, Karen, and Nicola had moved to the farmhouse after tracking Philip through a network of survivor forums and leaked court documents. They believed he had resurfaced under another identity. They wanted to expose him. They didn't expect him to find them first. Rachael recounted how she escaped into the attic when he broke in. She remained hidden while he stayed in the house for days, even sleeping in one of the rooms. She only came down at night to gather food. The video she recorded was never meant for help. It was a record, in case she didn't survive. She said she left the farmhouse when she was certain he was gone, but didn't dare go to the police. She believed he had connections, people who would find her again. Her final words were haunting. If you're hearing this, he's still out there. And I'm not ready for him to know I'm alive. The case remains open. Rachael Ellison has not been seen since. Philip Dawes is still at large. And somewhere out there, a woman lives in hiding, watching, waiting, and refusing to be found.